Being stripped one system at a time. Shut off the power to the bridge!
Hello, welcome to Star Trek Sodium. I've dredged up a few very interesting facts about the first episode of Season 3 of Star Trek Next Generation, Evolution. Now, in the first episode of Season 3, it brings to us many changes for the show. We have new opening credits, new uniforms, and new writers. Now let's move on to the facts. This episode marks Guinan's 7th appearance in Star Trek. She would go on to say that it was one of her very favourite episodes, as she really got the chance to show what the character was made of. As an aficionado of good drinks, Whoopi Goldberg said during Season 2 that she was getting fed up with the coloured water in the cups and bottles shown on the screen, as it seemed tacky and inauthentic. For Season 3, Whoopi donated over 100 actual exotic drinks of various colours to the production of Star Trek, and that's why the drinks in Ten Forward look so damn real in Season 3.
Increase magnification factor 1000.
Can it be possible they know what they're doing?
Always one to try new things, Jonathan Frakes toyed with the idea of having a handlebar moustache for Season 3, as popularised in the 1980s by Hulk Hogan and Mr. T, but unfortunately Rick Berman flatly refused to let him have this moustache, citing that Paramount had insured his beard for $3,000 as it was so popular by this stage, and the insurance was in place for the next 8 years. So if he wanted to get rid of the beard, he'd have to wait until the Next Generation had wrapped and for the first couple of films to have been brought out. This episode introduces the fan favourite character of Dr. Stubbs, as famously portrayed by Ken Jenkins. But did you know that there was originally a different actor to play the role? Allegedly, Gene Roddenberry wanted Diana Muldaur to play the role of Dr. Stubbs, and he had even invited her in for an important audition. But this move was met with a big no from fellow producer Rick Berman, who was totally against the idea for some reason. Thankfully, though, the role was played by someone and not left vacant.
The priority is to find out who or what is doing this. Number one, the bridge, such as it is yours.
As filming kicked off for Star Trek Next Generation Season 3, filming had also just begun for the horror classic Friday the 13th Part 8. The team at Friday the 13th needed a particular size area to film in, and since Star Trek V had just finished filming a few months ago in Star Trek Studio 9, the space was perfect for Friday the 13th. Even though the Star Trek team were receptive to having Friday the 13th team in the same studio as them, the constant screams of actors getting murdered eventually began putting off Patrick Stewart, who had been busy trying to film important captain scenes. One particular kill in the Friday the 13th Part 8 needed over 100 takes to film successfully, and the screams went on and on all day long. There had been several rumours thrown around regarding Gates McSomething returning to her soapy role after a whole year of absence. The fact is that Dr. Crusher was such a highly regarded doctor, she was transferred to Starfleet Medical from the Federation flagship, where she could be better utilised for the short term. She was such a medical expert. A while later, she was reassigned back to the Enterprise, where she would be with her exciting son, Wesley, who also lived there. During his time off from Star Trek between Seasons 2 and Season 3, Lever Burton had sadly become inflicted with the problem of proptosis, meaning that his eyeballs bulged out from the sockets in his face. On one hand, this wasn't a bad problem for filming Star Trek, as his eyes were thankfully hidden. But the problem for Lever was that his eyeballs scraped on the inside of his Hensing visor, causing him pain and unable to see very much, due to having to keep his eyelids closed most of the time behind the visor to protect his special face orbs. The episode Evolution heralded the appearance of brand new Star Trek uniforms for the actors. At first, the actors were excited to finally not wear the spandex uniforms of the previous seasons, but there was a problem. The new costumes had been manufactured 8 months earlier and had been sitting in Paramount's costume warehouse, where they'd become infested with carpet beetles. The costumes had been extensively cleaned when they were made, and so were not cleaned again before they were given to the actors a few months later. This, of course, would become a terrible burden to them, as the carpet beetles, and of course the carpet beetles' dung, would cause the actors to scratch themselves red. Now, Patrick Stewart had been going through the process of changing his name to Clement Jackie, as it had been a name that he had always loved, since possibly playing the part of someone called Clement Jackie back in the early 80s. Just as he was about to sign the final paperwork for the name change, Rick Berman ordered him to halt the process, as the opening credits for Season 3 had already been created, showing the name Patrick Stewart and not the name Clement Jackie. That's why the actor is called Patrick Stewart in Series 3, and it's not called Clement Jackie. Michael Piller had been in a daze, watching dust settle on Brent Spiner's black shoulders on his new uniform, and this is when he got the idea for tiny nanobots called nanites, which would run amok during the episode. Indeed, one of the stories in the episode is that Wesley Crusher unfortunately leaves his tub of nanites open, and they get out and they start to mess around with the ship's computer systems. Michael Piller noted how interesting it was that the dust and other small particles could be so small and smooth when he was staring at the particles landing on Brent Spiner's shoulders. Thankfully, this idea lodged in his mind, and we have the fantastic story of the episode now, which we have. Thanks ever so much for watching my fascinating facts about Star Trek Next Generation Series 3, Evolution. A top episode, and of course it is strange to see these fellows wearing these new uniforms which they'd be wearing for the next several years. Bye bye, please subscribe unless you don't want to, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ta!